This is KC9VKV with the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. From now until 5 we will be recording so folks can drop by and communicate, and we will record their audio and then post it at a later time on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that would take you to the QSO-VLOG page, and on that page today you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 5/17/19, today's date. My Group Aircheck 5/17/19. Well, right now we're going to check and see if Charlie K1GZL is with us from up in the Northland. Charlie, are you there?
Are you there? Roger, Jim. We're here. K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. What's the weather up there? Is it cold like normal, or have you been having a heat wave?
Well, it's pretty. It's almost normal. It's in the middle 50s. Overcast. We had a little bit of rain this morning. A little bit of rain, and the leaves are not out on the trees yet. They are not out on the trees, except on the smaller trees, and starting to show just barely on some of the others. But for the most part, the leaves are 95% off the trees. But we're getting there. But it's a slow go. It's a slow go, Jim. KC9VKV, K1GZL. I'm not sure which SDR you're hearing me better on. Go ahead.
Milford, PA is at the head of the class right now. You're doing about a 20 over in on the Milford PA SDR. Sounds really great. And I'm going to pick your brain again today about some of your past recollections. I'm just curious about what might have been the say two best contacts that you've ever made in your life. The ones that really, two of the ones that really stand out in your life. Roger.
Well, I can think of one, and that was way back. I think probably, about 1965. 1974. 1974. I was living down just south of here a ways in Berlin, New Hampshire, and I had a 6-element wire quad, 7 elements if you count the second diamond-shaped quad reflector I had, and I was aimed right at central Sweden and Norway, and also at Moscow, Russia, and Bombay, India. And one day I got on. This is on 20 meters, and I got on and called the CQ, and then I heard a fellow say MM calling, MM. So I said, stand by, Maritime Mobile, but it wasn't. It was, trying to think of his call over there in Nepal. 9 Nancy 1 Mickey Mouse, 9 Nancy 1 Mickey Mouse in Kathmandu, Nepal, and we struck up a good friendship, and we talked quite a bit. We talked quite a bit there, and what happened was that eventually he came to the U.S. You see, he was from Chicago, Illinois, originally. He was from Chicago, or Chicago, as they say, and the DX Club over there in Chicago would fund his trip to the U.S. On one of those trips, he paid me a visit down in Berlin, New Hampshire, and we had a wonderful time, and he could really play the organ. My mother had an old Hammond organ, and we had a whole pile of hams from that local area come over to visit. So So that was number one. And number two, I guess I might have told you previously, and this is K1GZL. Number two was with that same antenna aimed at Bombay, India, which is Mumbai, I guess they say now. I got a hold of a fellow in Mumbai, India, and he says, darling, you won't believe the antenna I'm using. You will not believe it. It is my curtain rods in my living room. My curtain rods in my living room, and I'm only running 100 watts. Now, those are contacts I never forget, Jim. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger. And, with that curtain rod, I guess he could plus and minus the length to fine-tune it to the frequency that he was on at the moment. Well, Charlie, just one other question. Do contacts seem to be redundant as far as being able to contact them week after week or month after month on the same frequency? Does that contact work reasonably well?
Generally, yes. But of course, that was many years ago, and we were at the top of the sunspot cycle. We were up at the top of the sunspot, pretty high up on the sunspot cycle. But right now, I'm getting almost daily right here on 40, down around 7150 with VK3MO. And I worked him this morning, and he was only running 150 watts. And his amplifier has conscious outage, and it's still off the air. But he has he has two stacked rhombics, one on top of the other. So that gives him a chance to really plug the signal in. And my antenna is still in bad shape here on 40, but we make it. We make it. But the propagation is so much better now on 40 in the early morning Eastern U.S. time into Australia than 20 is because of the sunspot cycle. Jim, go ahead.
Roger. Now, I was under the impression that young man was going to be climbing those poles and remedying all disastrous situations on that antenna a week ago. Did he not be able to climb?
Not yet. I was thinking about it after we get off the air today, but it takes, I have to slack off the more of the less of this driven element here on 40, the rest of the driven element here on 40 meters. But it takes, it takes a lot of getting used to. I have all the ropes in place, but then again, I would like to have somebody else sitting, or at least up here and near me, if anything happens. But there's nobody here today, but there may be tomorrow. So more than likely, I may wait until tomorrow. But then again, I have to worry about wind. I'd rather have a day like today where the winds are light and the temperatures are way up in the middle 50s. So I'm thinking about it today, but I think I may wait and see if a friend of mine arrives tomorrow when he's not working. So it's a sort of a borderline situation, but I will do it. I think I can do number one, but number two, I may have to have somebody climb for me. That is the front pole. Go ahead.
Roger. Well, yes, certainly. Now, I don't think you need to be climbing. I would use a young man who needs the experience. Anyway, Charlie, I really appreciate your being on the air today, and I hope you have good weather for your antenna fixing time. Roger.
Roger, Jim. Roger. You're coming in correct at 7 to 9, but you're Q5. I'm getting you straight all the way out to southern Indiana, and here's just a couple seconds of it right here.
Being on the air today, and I hope you good weather for your antenna fixing time, Roger.
Okay, Jim, I'll sign with you on this one, and I'll try to be on next week. We'll see what happens. Let's hope it's not negative. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Roger, Charlie 3 is that way, so you have a real good afternoon and a great weekend, and we'll catch you next Friday on the QSO-VLOG network. And this is the QSO-VLOG network for Friday afternoons between 3:30 and 5. We are recording, and if you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. Right now I'm going to see if I can contact someone that may be on the frequency. Kilo Charlie 9 Tango Charlie. This is KC9VKV.
B.
Not yet. I guess maybe conditions are not favorable at the moment, but well, it's a surprise, and I'll tell you about it later. Anyway, this is KC9VKV, and if you have a radio that you want to check the audio on, give me a shout. KC9VKV, standing by.
Standing by.
November 8th, Juliet, Oscar Mobile.
The mobile station, come back with the call sign one more time, please.
Please.
This is November 8th, Juliet, Oscar Mobile.
November 8th, Juliet, Oscar. What's the name, please?
Name, please.
November 8th, Juliet, Oscar. What's the name, please?
Name, please.
Name here is John, Juliet Oscar Hotel November. Currently stuck in rush hour traffic in the metropolitan Detroit area. Go ahead.
I got you stuck in traffic, and whereabouts are you stuck in traffic?
Traffic.
Southfield, Michigan, northern suburbs of Detroit. Go ahead.
Northern suburbs of Detroit. Roger, Roger. Well, what kind of radio are you running today, John?
Hey, John.
I am running a ICOM 7100. The antenna is a little Tar Heel 2 with the 32-inch whip antenna. I may be in and out a little bit because I'm going under some overpasses. Go ahead.
Roger that, John. Well, I'm copying you about 10 over on the Milford PA SDR. Roger, Roger.
Roger, Roger.
Oh, Roger. Yeah, good to hear. This radio so far is exceeding my expectations. I just picked it up a couple of weeks ago, threw it in the truck. We took a trip to Florida and back, and I've done a few tweaks on it since then. So I heard you guys, and I thought I'd check in and see how the audio was and how the signal was. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger, John. Well, it looks like you're running about 2 dB dynamic range, so I'm sure you're hitting your ALC pretty hard. But, you know, sometimes a mobile needs all the help it can get, so it's sounding good. Roger, Roger.
Roger, Roger.
Roger. Yeah, well, I could back off on the conversion a little bit, but I don't want to take my eyes off the road right now. It's literally bumper-to-bumper traffic. Go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. No, keep on keeping on, man. Sounds great. Like I say, you are 10 over there. I checked my local antenna, and you were probably about a 4. So you're doing well into that Milford PA SDR. Roger.
Roger.
I do have some QSC now, and I'm sure it's probably because I'm 20 feet down underground in a recessed freeway environment with overpasses. But I appreciate the report, and I'll turn it back to you. 7-3, thanks for the contact. This is AJO Mobile.
Roger, Roger. 3 Z way, so that mobile sounded really good. thanks for dropping by. If you get a chance, give us a shout next Friday afternoon. We go every Friday afternoon on the QSO-VLOG network from 3:30 till 5. We are recording live. And so if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. And once we communicate, like I say, we have been recording since 3:30, and then we will post it within a couple of days up on YouTube. And if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO Vlog page, and on that page you'll be looking for an Aircheck. It's called My Group Aircheck 5/17/19. My Group Aircheck 5/17/19, today's date. This is KC9VKV. There's a November 4 Tango Oscar X-ray. Roger, Roger. You are right at my noise level at the moment. I'm not sure that we'll be able to make this work. But like I say, you are right at, well, actually, I'm using the Milford, PA SDR again, and you are right at their noise level. But let's try it one more time. Roger?
Roger.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to make it right at this time. Maybe later on this afternoon, if my signal improves to you. Let me show you exactly where we stand here. I'll drop down to 100 watts. We're at 100 watts right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 100 watts, and that's back to the KW. Roger, Roger.
Roger.
So maybe we'll try it. Try it later there if conditions improve. This is KC9VKV, and we are monitoring right now the Milford, PA SDR. And if you have a radio wherever you are that you want to check out, give me a shout. We are recording.
Recording.
Station ending in Tango, go again. Again, right at my noise level, but give me about 10 seconds worth of audio. Let me run around and see if I can find a better antenna. Roger.
Antenna, Roger.
Now, unfortunately, Milford was the best antenna. So let me say 3 is for right now, and maybe we'll try it later when the conditions are better. Conditions don't seem to be very good today on 40. Well, what's new? Oh, nothing that 500 watts wouldn't take care of. Hint, hint. Oh, sometimes you need a little help from your friends in the closet. And you know, it's just one of those things. Band conditions go through phases, and right now 40 for seems like a while has not been particularly advantageous for folks running like 100 watts, and that's a shame. But anyway, this is KC9VKV, and if you've got a radio you want to check out the audio, give us a shout.
Give us a shout.
And this is KC9VKV. Let me do a shout for Kilo Charlie 9 Tango Charlie. Kilo Charlie 9 Tango Charlie. Do you copy KC9VKV? I am monitoring the Milford, PA. SDR. I held myself coming back, so we're hitting the SDR fairly well this afternoon. Have about 3 to 4 second latency. Sometimes on these SDRs, the latency gets pretty excessive. I had one the other day that was, it must have been 15-second latency. So, you know, if my response to somebody was 15 seconds, when I backed off the key, I could hear my total response, you know, the whole thing from the beginning to the end coming back at me because the SDR had such great latency. Anyway, this is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a call. KC9VKV, listening. Check. Oh, well, there's a KW for you. There is a KW for you. Let me see how I'm doing on the Raleigh SDR. Let me move over to the Raleigh SDR listening and see what's going on. Ah, Raleigh's got about a 10-second latency. Interesting. And let's see here. I was monitoring Arlington, but there was something to do somehow with the wiring. I'm not real sure that I'm using a PC in the bedroom for that, and I'm hardwire up from the bedroom to the Radio Shack, and I noticed that it was happening in the bedroom, but it wasn't making it to the Radio Shack. So I'll have to do some tracing there and find out what the culprit is. But usually we are running 4 SDRs, and you know, the SDR is, there's nothing guaranteed about that SDR, any SDR is going to be of help to you, but it is another possibility to consider. So I usually run now 4 SDRs, internet SDRs on 2 PCs and 2 books, and it you know, is like I say, 4 times the possibilities of my one receiver. Anyway, if you're looking for somebody to get your audio set up, we do that also, you know. So give us a shout. KC9VKV. Well, it must be a football game going on somewhere. I'm not real sure, but it doesn't seem to be particularly active on the radio. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
Give us a shout. KC9VKV.
Yeah, I heard the end of somebody, whoever just backed off. Come again?
Victor Mike Delta.
Victor Mike Delta, come along here. Give me the whole thing.
November 3, Victor Mike Delta.
November 3, Victor Mike Delta. What's the name, please?
The name is Todd, Tango Oscar Delta Delta in Maryland.
Roger. Todd, what's going on today?
I was just curious how my old Swan is sounding.
Sounded pretty good, sir. Come back and tell me about it. What is the manufacture date on that Swan transceiver?
Well, I'm not sure exactly. I know I think this is about a 35-year-old radio approximately. It's a Swan 100MX, and it was given to me by a friend, and I just put it into service recently. Running on a static hand mic, a 575. I decided to try that particular mic because it always had decent audio on it years ago when it was used in the service. I was always told it had excellent audio.
Oh, Roger, Roger. Well, I think you made an excellent choice of microphones for that radio. It does sound really nice, and I'm glad to hear that swan kind of swimming along, as it were. It really sounds good. And that is tube type, Roger?
Negative. It is not fully transistorized. Just barely. But it is a bare-bones radio. It doesn't have much more than just the basic amenities, but it is all transistorized.
Roger. Well, they made tubes for a long time, didn't they? Tube radios?
Yes, they did. Yes, they certainly did. I think one of their early transistorized radios, but yeah, this one does not have any tubes in it.
Roger. Well, it sounds great, man. Sounds great. And Todd, you got a good deal there. I hope you gave a reasonable amount of cash for it.
Actually, it was a gift, a birthday gift from a close friend, and it's sat unused for quite some time, and we just decided to put it into service here recently. And surprisingly enough, everything works on it except one bulb behind the meter has to be replaced. Other than that, it works perfectly.
Roger that, Roger that. Now, it does sound just a tad hot, but it sounds good, a tad hot, I think. And it's making a good trip, so I wouldn't make any adjustments. I would, you listen to it when you get a chance. We'll get it uploaded in the next couple of days. And then you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. And then look for a QSO vlog entitled My Group Aircheck 51719, and it'll be there, and you can hear for yourself how she sounds. Roger, Roger.
Fantastic. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, a chance to hear it, obviously, and for myself, I've heard that it sounds pretty decent, maybe just a hair hot, although that might be a bit helpful when I'm trying to punch through on DXing, of course, but otherwise. But I can turn it down some if need be. It's not, the gain is not turned up all the way, but obviously there's room to go down some if need be.
Yeah, I would just consider that radio under the grandfather clause. Just leave it alone. It sounds good, Roger.
I copy that. Well, I do appreciate it. I didn't catch your name, if you wouldn't mind.
Roger, name here is Jim, Juliet India Mike. The call sign is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and we're located just across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. Roger?
Okay, well, very good, Jim. Well, I won't keep you any longer. I got what I'm looking for, and I appreciate the information. I'll let somebody else get over here and see what they can do. Appreciate it, and I'll definitely check out the recording. Thank you, sir. Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, November 3, Victor Mike Delta. Have a terrific weekend, sir.
Roger, Roger. Todd 3's that way, and you have a good afternoon and a good weekend. And I am going to try to see if I can reach somebody. Let's see here. Kilo Charlie 9 Tango Charlie. Kilo Charlie 9 Tango Charlie. We are monitoring the Milford VA SDR. If you can copy, try. KC9VKV. Listening. Kilo Charlie 9 Tango Charlie. KC9VKV. And nothing heard. This is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO vlog network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout. We are listening. KC9VKV. KV. Delta Whiskey Station, try.
Kilo Kilo 9 Delta Whiskey India, K9 DWI, Joe in Kansas City.
Joe, was that?
Who was that?
Well, was the name Joe?
Joe. Name is Joe in Missouri.
Roger, Joe in Missouri. I've got a copy on you on the SDR in Milford, PA. Roger, Roger.
Roger. I got a copy. Yeah, I just put out a new automatic antenna tuner on here, and you I make sure I had it hooked up correctly.
Roger, heard something about a new antenna. Where you got a little bit of lightning going on between us and Missouri, seems like. I hear some static crashes. I guess it's moving this way. Usually weather patterns around here move in from the east towards the west. And so whenever we're working west and we hear lightning, we just know shortly we're going to be experiencing some inclement weather. Roger, Joe?
Joe? Yeah, I think they're calling for some storms tonight. I was just telling you that I just put a new antenna tuner on here. I'm running a G5 RV antenna and put a new antenna tuner on here while I was testing out. Over.
I got your new antenna tuner. Roger, Roger. Well, you know, I'm assuming that's an external antenna tuner, and that's great. The difference between the internal tuners and the external tuners is usually the internal tuners are good for about a 3 SWR, whereas the outboard antenna tuners are good for about 4 or 5 SWR, so they can handle a worse situation the external tuners do. Roger?
Roger. Yeah, I'm still learning about all these settings on it. And it looks like I'm putting out about a 1.5, 1.6 SWR.
Roger that, Roger that. Well, you know, antennas are my thing. I love the challenge of antennas and SWR. And I do, now right now I'm running, well, probably about 6 or 7 antennas, maybe 8. And they're all, SWRs are down around the 0.05 area. Maybe a lot of them are less than that. Some of them are 0.001. If you breathe on it, it tries to register the breath in SWR, and you have to wait till you have a bright sunshiny day to make those critical adjustments, because if you make those adjustments when it's damp or wet, when things dry out, your SWR will be a lot higher. So I usually wait a couple of days after it hasn't rained, or 3, to get it, make sure it's nice and dried out before I start making those critical SWR adjustments. Roger?
Sure. Yeah, we're gotta get some storms here later. I appreciate you letting me chit-chat with you for a second. I can tell you out. I've got to go take a nap. I've got to go to work tonight. So, thank you for the comeback. Kilo 9 Delta Whiskey India, K9 DWI.
Roger, Roger, Joe. And if you happen to run across Kilo Charlie 9 Tango Charlie, he's out that way. And you might say hello to him. He was going to try to join us on the Milford PASDR, but I guess he is having some difficulties there. But anyway, Joe, 3's that way, sir. And you have a real good afternoon and a good weekend. Thanks for checking in. Roger?
Roger.
And this is KC9VKV in the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout. We are recording from now until 5. KC9VKV.
Until 5, KC9VKV.
I hear somebody on the Milford PASDR. That SDR is got ears on it, boy, I'll tell you. Station calling KC9VKV. Try again, please.
Please.
Alpha, what was that? Alpha 0? No. What was the call sign?
Call sign?
Alpha 0.
Roger, and what's the name?
The name?
The name here is John.
Roger, John, and what's your location, sir?
Sure.
About 30 miles from Pittsburgh, a little town called Monongahela. Go ahead.
30 miles from Pittsburgh, and you're running about 100 watts?
Watts?
Yeah, we just got the brand new radio. We're running 100 watts.
Roger, what's the radio?
Radio.
We got a nice KC9VKV.
87-300, is that what you said?
What you said?
That is correct.
Oh, Roger, Roger. Well, it sounded pretty good from what I can hear, you know. Unfortunately, 40 is not being advantageous this afternoon. I'm copying you through the Milford PASDR, Roger.
Roger.
S10 on you. You sound really good here. We don't have much power running through.
Roger, Roger. John, let me drop down to 100 watts and I'll show you what it is. That's about 100 watts there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 100 watts and going to KW, and there's a KW. Roger, Roger.
Roger.
Oh, yeah, big difference, big difference. Yeah, we just got the radio Tuesday, actually. I've been watching your videos for some time now, and wanted to...
Well, John, I appreciate you checking in, sir. And what was that antenna you're running?
You're running?
We are running a DX Commander.
One more time. We had some static crashes in there.
It's in there.
It's a DX Commander band vertical. DX Commander.
DX Commander vertical. Roger, Roger. Well, I've always wanted to check out a vertical. It's just, you know, it just seems like, though, that most of the stuff coming in my way is coming in horizontal. So, I mean, it appears to be horizontal. And so if I went to vertical, I'm afraid that I would be losing, you know, quite a bit right off the top of being not phased correctly for the incoming. And I just pose the question, does certain areas seem to wind up getting incoming signals on the horizontal side more than the vertical, and then maybe some other geographical location, do they wind up getting vertical stuff more than horizontal? I don't know the answer to those questions, Roger.
Faraday roll.
What we've been using so far. We're actually in the hole, so 800 feet above sea level, down by the river. So we don't have it does pretty well into Europe. We've been doing a lot of Europe contacts.
Oh, roger that, yeah. And does that, but do you have a horizontal reference that you can AV between the horizontal and the vertical?
No, that's all we have for right now.
I got you. I always like to, like I say, usually I do on 10 meters, I have vertical, horizontal, and then a loop antenna, which I'm not real sure whether that's vertical or horizontal, because we used to drive it, you know, everybody said, you got to drive those loops from the corners. Well, I drove it from the top. And the thing was, driving it in the middle on the top, you have uniformity going out on the horizontal side. The loop was actually a rectangular PVC frame that was 10 foot on the horizontal and 8 foot on the vertical, and then tie-tacked RG6 quad around that, and so that was 36 foot full wave loop antenna. And it seemed to me that I was getting getting both vertical and horizontal phase angles at the simultaneously because of the way it was being driven in the middle from the top, and because of that I never had any much fading. That antenna never did exhibit much fading because I was thinking that maybe it was horizontally and vertically polarized simultaneously, so when it slid from a vertical to a horizontal, it was just changing partners, but the dance went on. Roger, Roger.
Roger. Yeah, we're going to pick up a horizontal. Room for it. We got a pretty small yard, so I don't have much room. 32 radios. It's actually down and 32.
Roger, Roger. Well, that lightning's getting worse. Maybe if you could give me phonetically slowly your call sign twice. Phonetically slowly your call sign twice. Roger.
Roger. Roger. Alpha 3. Alpha. Kilo. Alpha 3. Alpha.
Okay, I got Kilo Alpha 3, and then just give me the next parts. Kilo Alpha 3, and give me the rest.
The rest.
Was that Oscar Delta Zulu?
Zulu.
Oscar Delta Zulu, is that correct?
Correct. No, it's Oscar Alpha.
You are right at my static crashes. This sounds like a bad storm coming in. Okay, let's see. Let's try one more. I would like to get the call sign. I got the KA3. I just need the three or so letters after that. If you could just give me those phonetically a couple of times.
Oscar Alpha Zulu relay.
Oscar Alpha Zulu, is that correct?
Correct.
Oscar Alpha Zulu. Roger, Roger.
Roger, Roger.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for the relay. Appreciate that.
Roger.
Who was that relay?
Relay. November 8, Bravo, Echo Golf, Michigan. A solar power portable. Rob.
Roger, Rob. Give me the call sign again phonetically.
Phonetically? November 8, Bravo, Echo, Germany. NABEG. I'm in northern Michigan. Solar power portable.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And that portable's doing what, 4 kW?
W? I am pushing just shy of 50 watts right now.
Oh, come on. That's that sounds like 5,000 watts.
Watts. Well, that's what it is. That's the power of propagation, my friend. Full-size dipole on 40 open wire line, matching network to an FT991A on battery power, being charged by a little solar panel here, and we're not quite 50 watts. So over.
Oh, Roger, Rob, man, that's a really loud signal there. You got everything just right on that radio, Roger.
Roger. Yeah, thank you much for the compliment. Yeah, propagation helps indeed. Where are you located?
We're just across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. We're on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville. Roger?
Roger. Yeah, I know exactly where you're at there. I didn't jot anything down. I just happened to be copying you guys, listening here, and thought I'd pitch in. I was hearing the other station, and Oscar Alpha. Oh, hell, I forgot the rest of this call there, but
I copied it, so I relayed. Anyway, his name is Rob, and as I said, out camping solar power here, high on a hill and away from all the utility mains of the world, just running on a little solar panel. And probably should put the generator on soon. Yeah, I'm not even getting 50 watts out here. But thank you very much for picking me up, and I'll get right your call down on the next and your name, and appreciate hearing from you. NABEG, Bel Air, Michigan. Bye.
Roger, Rob. This is KC9VKV, and this is the QSO-VLOG network, where we record live from 3:30 till 5, and then in the next couple of days we post it up on YouTube, so folks can go by and do a call letter search when they go to YouTube of Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. That will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. We're running about 570 some odd QSOs right now, but you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 51719, and usually if YouTube's nice they'll put it on page 1. Sometimes it's on page 2, but like I say, the name will be My Group Aircheck 51719. Roger.
Yeah, okay. Very good with that. And I did hear one of my QSOs with you. We've worked before. And one of my buddies in an adjacent town sent me a message that had the video with you and I talking. He sent that to me, so I actually watched it on my phone when I was on the road traveling to Dallas, Texas, doing some industrial service support, and I was able to watch that. So you and I worked, and you posted my video, and thank you for doing that, and good to work you again. If you post this one, we'll try to look for it and tell you. That's always a fun thing to do. KC9VRV at a BEG. Solar Power Portable, Bel Air, Michigan. Bye-bye.
Roger. Call is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. And what we do normally is we upload the whole thing, the whole hour and a half first. So everything that we do between 3:30 and 5, we record, and then we do upload the whole thing, the whole hour and a half first. And then as time permits, we usually come back and try to pull out some of the more exceptional, cleaner, if you will, QSO-VLOG'S to post them separately. Roger. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, whittle it down to smaller chunks so it can be, maybe found easier or makes the listening easier. Okay, well, good enough. I'm going to jump out of here, and I think I better go start the generator and re-aim the solar panel too. Although the sun is still out and prominent, we've got a little bit of haze to the west, and it's not as bright as it could be, so the generator will probably help also get the battery picked up. Going to do that and get dinner started here at the campsite. 7-3 to you, and thank you for picking me up and for the compliments on the signal. Appreciate it. KC9VKV. NABEG, Solar Power. Now, to Mike Delta Victor. Delta Victor Station, standby. Roger, Rob. 3 Z-way, sir. You have a good afternoon and a good weekend. Enjoy. This is KC9VKV and the other station. Go ahead, Real. Other station just calling. Come back. I think we may have doubled. Other station, try again. Yeah, right at my noise level. and then I went strolling through my SDR to see if I could get a better copy, but I couldn't. So I'm on the Milford PA SDR. This is KC9VKV. Loudest station, go ahead and try it.
November, India 4, Tango Golf.
November, India 4, Tango Golf. What's the name, please?
Name, please. Good evening, James. The name is Sam. I'm located in North Carolina. Over.
One of my hottest states. I don't know what it is. What are we giving you there, Sam?
Well, you're on the Yazoo, which has a stingy meter. Your S9. It's a stingy meter, though, and but you got a good signal.
Roger that, sir. Roger that. You're giving me looks like about looks like about an 8 or 9 over on the Milford PA SDR receiver. Roger.
Roger. Okay.
Receiver, Roger.
For a little while, and you're fading a little bit, but overall S9 plus, and when you cut off the amplifier, you lose 4 S units. Over.
Roger that. Now I've got you on my my local receiver now, and what kind of radio are you running again?
I'm running a Yazoo SPDX 1200, and just a little bit of power, about 400 watts with an American. Over.
Roger, Roger. Now, my observation would be that that audio might be just a little bit more articulated if you maybe cranked in a couple of a dB more top-end EQ. Roger?
Roger. Very good. Let's see, hang on.
We'll just see how ambidextrous you are.
Not very. Is that any better?
Yeah, I think so. Usually, signals need, I think, a little more top end than what you would imagine, because the top end EQ is the first thing that gets canceled as skywave reflections start reflecting in different time zones, different, slightly out of phase, and so that phase cancellation starts at the top of the audio spectrum and works its way down to the lower frequencies. So you can kind of count on the first thing to be lost is the articulations. I usually crank in enough that I'm not going to be severely de-articulated by Mother Nature as she changes my phase angles. Roger.
Roger. Well, that makes sense. Using an off-center fed dipole, my favorite antenna is my Delta Loop, but I'm not using it right now. I've just put up this off-center fed dipole and playing around with it on 40 meters today.
Roger, Roger. Now, the next thing I would look at on that radio would be the ALC. And that is controlled. Well, usually I suggest if one has a compressor. I know that's a word that cringes a lot of people, but I usually suggest a 3 out of 10. Crank that compressor in, but just a 3 out of 10, so it just starts the fattening process. And then with your hand on your mic gain control, go to your ALC meter, and you want to adjust that mic gain to where the ALC meter is running a mid-scale to 2/3. Mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC. Roger, Roger?
Roger, yes. I think that's where my ALC is set, but I am not running any compression.
Roger. Well, what we're looking for, we're trying to get a fat signal, but like about 3 dB. Now, when we talk dBs, we're talking, like unprocessed audio. Usually it's running about 30% average peak modulation. and it's running about a 10 dB dynamic range. It's not being, compressed at all. So as we start that fattening process, we try to move that dynamic range to about 3 dB, which usually puts it at about 85% average peak modulation. So it's a fatter signal, but it's not that 3 out of 10 on the compressor is, you're not going to hear that. One should never hear the actual work of the compressor. If you hear it working, then you've got too much. That should be something that's just helping, but not, you're not sucking up the cows in the South 40 with it, Roger.
Right, yeah, I understand. KC9VKV, NI4TG. Okay, I've got a little bit of processing on now. Did that change anything?
Yeah, I think you've got a fatter signal there. We do have conditions up and down, but the part that I could really copy, you were very nice, very nice. And give me that call sign one more time.
Okay, the call sign is November India 4 Tango Golf, NI4TG.
Roger, Roger. And I got the name of Sam, and I'm sure that's right. Sam, I appreciate you dropping by, sir. And if you get a chance, join us next Friday afternoon, this frequency between 3:30 and 5 Eastern Daylight Time. Roger?
Roger, I'll do that. I appreciate the QSO, and hope you make many more contacts. It's been enjoyable talking to you this evening, and I hope you have a great weekend. KC9VKV, NI4TG, 73, James.
Roger, Roger, Sam. And like I say, we will be posting this QSO vlog on YouTube within the next couple of days. So if you want to hear your radio and the difference between when we first started talking and the end, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO vlog page. And on that page, you'll look for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 5/17/19. My group Aircheck 5/17/19. Today's date. Roger.
Okay, James, I'll do that. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend, and I forward to you.
Roger, Roger, Sam. 3's that way, sir. And this is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. And right now, let's see here. We were on our regular antenna. Amazing. We get so used to these SWRs. I have a rotary select switch that I have 4 SDRs on plus my radio audio, and so when I'm sampling, I'm just running between 5 different signals, and I can run those 5 signals on a rotary switch within a second and a half to evaluate signal strength. Sometimes I run it twice just to be sure I wasn't right or wasn't wrong. And the other part is that sometimes the SDR latency hangs out there maybe 8 seconds, 10 seconds, so that also poses a problem when I'm kind of shooting from the hip as far as running through on the rotary, because I have to wait till my voice clears, which might be up to 8 seconds before I can actually hear anybody else usually. But anyway, this is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out the audio, give us a shout.
So you want to check out the audio? Give us a shout.
Somebody's checking in there from, I think it was South Carolina. I'm copying you on the Milford PA SDR. Come back with a call sign in South Carolina.
November 6th, Echo Charlie Indy. November 6th, Echo Charlie Indy.
November 6th, Echo Charlie India. What's the name?
The name?
One more time, please. The name?
The name?
Name is Mike, Mexico, India, Kilo, Echo, Mike, and we're just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, just across the state line in Lake Wiley, South Carolina.
All right, Mike. Let's deal with the audio first. You have no bottom end there. I would suggest. Do you know where your EQ is?
Haven't been running with this thing in quite a while. The microphone is an old mic from back in the 50s, so I'm just curious if there's any audio at all.
All right, take notes, Mike. When you become more familiar with that radio, go to your EQ, equalization, tone control, whatever they might call it. Add about 3 clicks at the bottom end, bass, or 150, well, maybe 200 cycles, if you, depending on what kind of EQ you have. 2 or 3 clicks on the bottom end, and I think the top end may suffice where it is. I can't tell. It's so upper mids, like around 1.5K or so. It's so hard in that area. You know what I usually do? You want your EQs, top and bottom EQs, to be active, to be helpful, and the problem is, if you boost the mid-range, then you have to overly boost the top and the bottom to catch up with it. So usually what I do, I make sure that my mid-range is flat. 1 KC or thereabouts is flat, 2 KC is flat, and 500 cycles. So we run in that area flat, and that way a bass increase makes a lot more difference, and you can hear it a lot better without having to do 20 dBs of push. And likewise, the top end EQ is going to work better hearing it when you don't boost your mid-range. So I'd leave the mid-range flat and or make it flat, and then I would usually boost the bottom end about 2, and the top end, what you want to do is to be articulated as best you can, and that is in the S's, the syllabic range, and you want to hit that maybe at about 3K, right in that area, you know, maybe a 2 or 3 dB push in that area. Roger?
Roger.
Yeah, I would put that compressor in there at about a 3 out of 5 or 3 out of 10. Compressor in, engage the compressor, and then about a 3 out of 10. And then I would go to my ALC meter, and I have my mic gain, that I could bring the mic gain up till my ALC meter is moving a mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
Roger.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last. Repeat.
Repeat.
Let me try this. Do you have a copy on me now?
Yes, I do.
I do.
Okay, this is a completely different setup here. This is an Audio-Technica mic through a DBX 286S processor, and this is the first time I've ever tried this on the ham band. What's the quality sound like on this?
Sounds pretty good, and your dynamic range is running about 3 dB, which is a pretty fat signal. Usually 3 dB equates to about 80–85% peak modulation, Roger. Average peak modulation.
Let me crank the compressor settings up a little bit on this and see if that makes any difference.
Roger. Now, if your compressor is you know, like 10, you know, I would do a 3 out of 10. I'd put it on a 3 out of 10 or 30 out of 100. Roger, you don't want to really push that the compressor. You just want to start laying the groundwork for a fatter signal. So I would put that compressor at a 3 out of 10 or a 30 out of 100. Roger.
Roger. Roger.
Yeah, it's about a third of the way up right now. The controls on the compressor section of this is one is called drive and one is called density, and they're both 0 to 10. So I've got them both set at about 3.5 right now. This DBX unit also has EQ controls where you can enhance the top and the bottom. How's the frequency response sound through this?
Sounds really good. Maybe just a couple of clicks on the top end, if that's easily done. I wouldn't change anything else. Just a little more top end EQ. Roger.
Roger. Roger. Okay, let's try that.
Come back and tell me about your antenna system.
Clicks on the top end there.
Yeah, just tell me about your antenna system for about 10 seconds or so.
Very good. Now the antenna here is a ground-mounted vertical, the Hustler trap vertical, and I've got it ground-mounted next to the house itself in the woods with about I've got 24 radios, so it's not a half-bad ground-mounted antenna system. We're just putting out 100 watts on the HW101 here, so that's the station.
Roger, I would leave it just like that. I think you break out the Gorilla Tape and tape everything down, Roger.
Down, Roger. Roger, tell you what, hang on just a sec. Okay, I just switched back to the original old crystal mic. Can you tell the difference?
Oh, yeah, that sounds like it's just all upper mids, no bottom end. Just, just kind of sheet tin, really. Much better on the other system.
Excellent. Okay. I was too worried that this thing was going to distort, but if this is working well, I'm both surprised and impressed. So, like I said, I don't know if you caught, I do some voiceover work, so I've got a couple of professional mics and a couple of these DBX 286S channel strip processors, so it's got the compression, it's got low enhance and a high enhance and a gating expander and everything that I probably wouldn't use for this. But if this is going to help the situation, we will stick with it as it is.
Yeah, I would leave it just like it is. I would consult with my ALC. I would double check with my ALC to be sure I was running mid-scale to 2/3. And, that would be controlled by your, I guess, your mic gain. But it sounds pretty good. I think you'd be close to mid-scale to 2/3 on that ALC anyway, Roger?
Roger. Roger. Yeah, looking at the ALC right now, it's peaking about a third of the way. Let's see if I crank it up, if that changes anything. Yes, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is the original setting, and here it's up about another quarter of a turn. Any difference on that?
Well, I'll tell you what to do. When you key up, if you're looking at your watt meter, and your watt meter is fairly well maxed out, I mean, as far as running at about the 2/3 area, if you see the bottom end activity, you know that compressor is sucking up too much. In other words, when you key, you should not see the residual meter movement making much headway up the scale on the VU on the if you went to your watt meter. Your watt meter will reflect any ambient noise in your signal when you're not speaking. So if you have much of that, then you have exceeded the speed limit on your compressor, because you don't want a bunch of stuff, in the background there, Roger.
Roger. Okay. Well, nope. I'm not seeing any residuals. It's okay on that front. All right. Well, tell you what, I appreciate the info. That's quite helpful, Jim. I will go on to the YouTube channel then in a few days and see if I can find that, and I would be very curious to hear the playback of this. So I will 373 from South Carolina, and wish you a nice weekend, and thank you very much for your help. November 6th, Echo Charlie India.
Repeat your call sign again, please.
Yeah, please. November 6th, Echo Charlie India.
And the name?
And the name was Mike.
Roger, Roger, Mike. I had that already, but I just couldn't find it. My page just becomes so elongated with different stuff that I don't do it sequentially. I really should just do it sequentially, like it happens. But you know, I'm trying to get those call signs down. You know, I just don't have a chance to really look around very much, and so I just put them wherever they are, and hopefully I've got it somewhere on the page. But anyway, Mike, three-side way, sir. Have a good afternoon and a good weekend, and we'll get this posted up on YouTube. Roger?
Roger.
Roger. Thank you very much. KC9VKV, N6 ECI clip.
Roger, Roger. Three-side way, sir. This is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio that you want to check the audio out, give us a shout. We are recording KC9VKV.
We are recording KC9.
Getting just a little bit of QRM off adjacent channel. Stations, try again, KC9VKV.
KC9VKV.
I got that one station calling. Try one more time. I'm back on the Milford, PA SDR. Station with Mike in the call sign, try her one more time, please, sir.
Please, sir.
Victor, America 3, Victor, Mike Delta.
Roger, Roger, Canadian friend.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good to hear you. You're about the only signal on my scope today. Good to hear you.
Roger, Roger. Now tell me about your antenna, and I'm going to run around the SDRs and see if I can find a better one, Roger.
Sure. If I can find a better one.
I'm 1 KC, so you're not squeezing the people up above you. 3 KC, Jim. You're strong. The signals we're listening to are causing Roger. So appreciate it.
I'm sorry, I just caught somebody talking about frequency. Canada, stand by just a moment. Station, go ahead again. There was another station in there, I think it was. Do you have communication with KC9VKV?
Yeah, I was just wondering if I could get you to move down a KC so we could have a 1 KC buffer between us, so I don't, your upper sideband is not blipping on top of the stations that are, you know, like S0 up here.
Roger. Well, we're running a QSO-VLOG network. I hate to shift frequency. Are you networked there?
We're networked here. We got 27 people on frequency.
Well, I'm outdone. Where do you want me to go? One down?
One down, Jim, would be more than ample. You got a great station, but some of the other ones that you talk to don't.
Well, yeah, I can't hear them. I'll drop one.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Do appreciate it. Have a great evening. WA0 Jim.
Roger. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. We will be adjourning to 7188. 7188. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor on the new frequency 7188. KC9VKV, the QSO-VLOG network. Now, I was outgunned. The man had obviously more stations on his network than I had on mine at the time, so I will be accommodating. So we are on 7188. This is, oh gosh, that means I have to retune all my SDRs. Oh well, we're close enough to turning into a pumpkin. I think we're just going to dump the other SDRs and V on our local antenna. KC9VKV. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. We are running just on our one local antenna. Gosh, we'd have to retune all our SDRs. That would take too long. So we're if you got a copy, try it. KC9VKV. I'm going to try to retune the Rochester, New York SDR. Stand by just a moment. KC9VKV. This is KC9VKV. Retuned on the Rochester SDR for 7188. And we can hear ourselves coming back, so I think we're okay on that SDR. KC9VKV in the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
KC9VKV.
The Alpha station, come back with a call sign again phonetically slowly.
Sign again phonetically slowly.
Kilo November 4 Sierra Alpha Alpha. What's the name, please?
Alpha, what's the name, please?
My name is Rick, and I'm calling from Hamlet, North Carolina.
Was that Rich, R-I-C-H?
That Rich, R-I-C-H?
Is that a Roger?
Is that a Roger?
I'm assuming that's right. Okay, what radio are you running there, Rich?
What radio are you running there, Rich?
I'm running an ICOM 7300. Got 2 months now, and just probably a MaxCon off-center fed dipole.
Roger, Roger, Rich. Now, what kind of mic you running on that 7300?
Running on that 7300.
It's a factory ICOM. How does it sound? Just curious.
Oh, the hand mic?
Oh, the hand mic?
Yeah, it's a factory mic.
Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. You have to go a long way, Rich, if you were to take that mic off and try to replace it with a desk mic. You know, you would have to, first off, you'd have to get you a condenser desk mic to even start to make the difference between what that hand mic gives you. Roger, Roger?
Hand mic gives you. Roger, Roger?
Copy that. What am I speaking with, by the way?
You're right towards my noise level. Let me give you some thoughts. I would go to the processor, compressor, whatever you want. I would engage the compressor and put it on a 3 out of 10. Engage your compressor and put it at a 3 out of 10. Roger?
At a 3 out of 10. Roger?
I'm not copying you. I'm trying to bring you up where I can copy you. Roger, Roger?
Where I can copy you. Roger, Roger?
You are right at the Raleigh, the Rochester noise level, right at Rochester noise level. Let me bring the Raleigh SDR in and see if I can copy you there. Now we're going to do this on the fly. We have all this stuff pre-programmed, and because I was so nice and decided to change frequency just because the gentleman had 22 folks on his channel, that means I have to reprogram all of my SDRs, and that's no easy task, but I think I have done it on the Raleigh, North Carolina. So come back and let me hear you, and I'll be tuning you on the Raleigh SDR. Roger?
SDR, Roger?
All right. 9.
Roger, didn't help. So I'm still on the Rochester SDI. Anyway, let me give you some thoughts there. And if you have a pen and pencil, you can jot. Are you familiar with your 7300?
Familiar with your 7300? I was getting familiar with it. I've got it about 8 amps.
Okay, if I would tell you to go to your ALC, could you do that? I think on that radio you just tap the meter and it toggles around to ALC, I think, Roger?
ALC, I think, Roger. I've got an
ALC, automatic level control, ALC.
Control, ALC.
I believe you just tap the meter, you know, and I think it toggles around. I'm not sure, but I think so.
I'm not sure, but I think so. Might have to poke around a little.
Well, it's, you know, ALC shows you exactly what you're doing audio level-wise, modulation-wise. It is your best friend. It is your friend down the road that would tell you, gosh, you're too loud or whatever. ALC reading, we want to run between mid-scale and 2/3. On the ALC reading, you know, in other words, that meter is probably a multimeter and it has a lot of different readings on it, but ALC would have a reading on its own, and sometimes it's not all the way from full right to full left. You have to be sure you see the ALC trough there and what that meter's running into, and you want to keep that ALC between mid-scale and 2/3 of the capabilities of your ALC window. Roger?
The window, Roger.
Copy that. I see the ALC. I'm about halfway up the scale now.
I repeat your reading.
I repeat your reading.
I'm at 50% of the scale on the ALC.
Okay, affirmative. You're running mid-scale to 2/3. Affirmative.
Scale to 2/3. Affirmative.
Scale currently.
I can't hardly copy you, so I need you to be yes or no, pretty much, you know, right at the moment. Are you running in between mid-scale and 2/3?
In between mid-scale and 2/3.
Yes, I'm exactly at mid-scale.
Good. Okay. So what you want to do now? Where's your mic gain setting?
Where's your mic gain setting?
Microphone is
All right. You should set that. If you 50 is a good place to start. 50. Are you hotter than 50?
Are you hotter than 50?
I'm at 50 now.
Okay, and your ALC is still mid-scale to 2/3?
Is still mid-scale to 2/3?
Yes, still mid-scale.
Great. Now, on your EQ tone control, do you know how to get to there?
Do you know how to get to there?
The menu settings, transmit, sideband, and that should take you to tone control.
Should take you to tone control.
Menu, settings, transmit, sideband, tone control.
And tone control. All right, I'm checking.
Yeah, come back and count to 5.
Then you said tone control, receive it or transmit.
Hey, I got you on my local antenna. Oh, all is saved. Hopefully you'll be okay here. All right, so crank in about 2 or 3. Crank in 3 on the treble control. 3 plus 3 on the treble control.
Okay, plus 3 on SSP transmit treble.
Exactly. Now, and what's your bottom end? What is it saying right now? What's your base controls setting?
Base control is 0.
0, nothing, flat?
Correct, it's at 0.
All right, try advancing that one click boost on the base. All right, now tell me about your antenna system.
It is a MaxCon off-center fed dipole, 133 feet overall length.
Okay, sounded like you might have been pulling off mic. Well, you want to work that mic to the side of your cheek, and you don't want to speak directly into it. You want to speak across it. Roger, Roger.
Copy that. I'm holding the mic towards the side of my cheek right now.
Exactly, and that's now if you got a windscreen, you know they make windscreens today. They're not quite as long as what they used to be. They used to be like about 6 inches long and fit over the whole front of the microphone. You know, like for a rock band or whatever. But now they're making them where they just fit over the front end, and so you could slip that. You could go to your music store and get yourself a windscreen, and then just slip it over that microphone. I think it would work perfectly, and that would mean that you could talk directly into that microphone and be very on axis with it. Roger?
Roger that. That's good to know. Thank you.
Roger, Roger, because I know you have to hold it when you're talking across it. The reason that you talk across it is because that microphone is an electret condenser microphone, and they are pretty. They're beautiful for everything, but when you get close to them, like we have to do, then you want to put a windscreen between you and it, and because if you don't, sometimes the stuff that happens in that microphone, other than the words, gets so loud that we wind up QRMing ourselves. The distortions and mouth noises become louder than the actual words that we're speaking. So with a windscreen, you solve all those problems. Roger?
Copy that. I just wanted to confirm your call sign is Kilo Charlie 9 Charlie Kilo Victor?
Negative. Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. Repeat. Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. And the name is Jim, Julian and Jim Mike, and we're located just across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. Roger? Okay, so I want you up in that microphone, but speaking across it, and you have to be very consistent until you get a windscreen and you can work directly into that mic. You work it across it, and you have to be very deliberate about how you do that. Roger, Roger. You're actually contacting your mouth on the side. Roger.
Copy that. I'm trying it now.
Yeah, that looked good. That looked good. And tell me the best thing you like about that radio.
Well, it's my first radio. I've only had my license about 3 months, and I literally just got my antenna hung this week. I don't have anything to compare it to, so I mean I love it. It's rather intuitive once you get used to the menu.
Oh, Roger that. Sounding good, man. Sounding really good. And that's a great radio. Come back with your call sign and name again, please.
My name is Rick. And I guess your name is Jim Ferguson in New Albany, Indiana?
Yeah, Roger. I'm known locally as Dr. VKV. And I just got a new little sign on my set that says Dr. VKV. And I'm not sure exactly what that's all about, but I think I do know the answer to a lot of procedures, Roger, so they call me locally Dr. VKV, Roger.
I can understand why they call you doctor. You are very knowledgeable, intimately knowledgeable about this hobby. I can see that. I'm reading your biography here. It's pretty interesting.
Roger, Roger. Well, like I say, you know, that's we spent 50 years in broadcasting, and so that go-to there will take you to Jim Ferguson's radio story, where we have about 600 specials, documentaries, music, all kinds of things that I did in a 50-year broadcast career. And then when you do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and we have about 560 QSO-VLOGs on that page. So we're kind of spread out, but you know, like I say, we have been running our QSO-VLOG network for a couple of years now, and we have really had a lot of fun with that. And so we'll be posting this. Gosh, looking at the time, I am now turning into a pumpkin as we speak. So we will be posting this within the next couple of days. And if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for my group Aircheck 51719. My group Aircheck 51719. Roger.
Copy that.
All right, so let me jump out of here, man. Sounding good. I can really copy you now on my local antenna. Before that was not possible. So maybe we did something right.
Well, I thank you for all the help and guidance, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Roger, Roger. Three's that way, and have yourself a good rest of the afternoon and a good weekend. Enjoy. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor and the QSO-VLOG network, and we have enjoyed it since 3:30. Hopefully you managed to check in, and if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search KC9VKV, that will be the QSO-VLOG page, and you'll be looking for my group Aircheck 51719. So that'll do it for now. Threes, everybody. This is a KC9VKV clear.